There is a man you have seen, perhaps you know him, perhaps he is you. He lives by the approval of others. His mood is a tide, pulled by the praise of his superiors, eroded by the criticism of his peers. When he is complimented, he feels a fleeting surge of worth, but it fades as quickly as morning mist. When he is blamed, a cold stone settles in his stomach, and he spends days, even weeks, trying to dislodge it. He is a ship without a rudder, tossed on the ocean of other people's opinions. He is exhausted, hollowed out by this constant negotiation for validation. This is not a modern condition, but an ancient human weakness, and there is an ancient way out. Our path begins not in a therapist's office, but in the silent courtyards of Edo period Japan, with a figure who embodied the pinnacle of this escape, the swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. In his final work, the Dokodo, or The Way of Walking Alone, he left 21 precepts for a life of unshakable independence. The very first principle is this: accept everything just the way it is. This is not passive resignation. It is the foundation of a profound indifference to the shifting winds of praise and blame. For Musashi, a warrior's mind must be like still water, reflecting reality clearly, undisturbed by the pebbles of flattery or the stones of insult thrown into it. To be swayed by either was to be defeated before the fight even began. Let us consider the story of Kenji, a master craftsman of traditional Japanese joinery. For decades, his work was his pride, his identity carved into every perfect, seamless joint. His reputation was built on the praise of a few discerning clients and fellow artisans. Then, a famous architect commissioned a monumental gate for a public garden. Kenji poured his soul into the work for a year, a silent meditation in cedar and maple. The day of the unveiling came. The architect, surrounded by press, looked at the gate and, with a dismissive wave, declared it quaintly anachronistic. The critics echoed him. Kenji's world, so carefully constructed, shattered. The praise he had once received now felt like a lie. The blame felt like a verdict on his entire life's purpose. He fell into a deep silence, not of peace, but of turmoil. Chapter 1. The Mirror of the Opponent. In his despair, Kenji did something instinctive and utterly wrong. He began to fight the blame. He wrote long, meticulous letters defending his techniques. He sought out older clients, hoping for reassuring words. He was, in the words of the samurai philosopher Yamamoto Tsunetomo, trying to polish a broken mirror. In the Hagakure, Tsunetomo writes that a warrior must see both praise and criticism as reflections in the eyes of others, distorted, fleeting, and ultimately irrelevant to the true self. Kenji was trying to repair the reflection, instead of turning his gaze inward to the source of the light. His struggle was an attempt to control an external narrative, a battle that can never be won, only exhausted. Chapter 2. The Stillness in the Eye of the Storm. Remembering fragments of his grandfather's teachings, Kenji retreated to his workshop and stopped working. He simply sat. This was not meditation in the formal sense, but an application of Zen principle through Bushido, Heijoshin, the ordinary everyday mind. It is a state of equanimity, a mind like a flat mirror that does not cling to what passes before it. He watched his own thoughts like a sentinel on a castle wall. He saw the craving for praise as a grasping hand. He saw the aversion to blame as a flinching away from a blow. Both were movements away from a centered, unwavering presence. In the stillness, a realization emerged. His craft had never been about the end product's reception, but about the quality of attention he brought to each shaving of wood. The judgment of others could not touch that sacred space. Chapter 3. The Discipline of the Unmoved Mind. Understanding was not enough. Musashi's way is a way of discipline, of forging the spirit through repeated, non-negotiable action. Kenji returned to his bench, but with a new, silent vow. His daily practice would no longer be aimed at creating a masterpiece to be admired. It became a kata, a disciplined form for shaping the self. For 1 hour each day, he would perform the most basic, fundamental cut in joinery, the arigumi, or dovetail. No fanfare, no intention to use it. The goal was not a perfect joint, but perfect attention. Each stroke of the chisel was an exercise in detaching the action from its potential outcome of praise or blame. He was cultivating fudoshin, the immovable heart, a spirit that remains calm and determined in the midst of chaos. Chapter 4. The Sword That Does Not Cut. As weeks turned into months, a transformation occurred, not in the world's opinion, but in Kenji's perception. When a young apprentice now praised his work, Kenji would offer a slight nod, seeing the praise for what it was, a reflection of the apprentice's own enthusiasm, not a verdict on his own worth. When a client questioned a method, he would explain it clearly, without the undercurrent of defensiveness. He had drawn a psychological sword, the sword of discernment, and used it to cut the tether between external opinion and internal state. This is the essence of the samurai's detachment. It is not a cold, emotionless void. It is a profound inner space, free from the tyranny of constant valuation. His craft became purer, more fearless, because it was no longer a plea for approval. Chapter 5. The Unfazed Life. The modern world is a chorus of praise and blame, amplified to a deafening volume through screens and algorithms. To live unfazed is not to live in ignorance or arrogance. It is to follow the warrior's path of selecting what deserves your attention. Your inner state is your castle. Praise and blame are merely envoys arriving at the gate. You receive them, you listen, you acknowledge their message, but you never let them pass the inner walls to dictate the order of your kingdom. The unfazed man understands that his worth is not a currency to be traded in the marketplace of opinions. It is a deep, still well, dug by disciplined action and self-honesty, whose water is clear and whose depth cannot be measured by others. Kenji's public gate still stands. Some call it a treasure, some call it outdated. Kenji no longer hears the difference. In the quiet of his workshop, there is only the sound of a well-worn chisel meeting honest grain, the scrape of steel on wood that is its own reward. He has accepted everything just the way it is, beginning with himself. He moves through the world, not as a statue untouched by wind, but as a deeply rooted tree. The winds of praise and blame blow through its branches. They may rustle the leaves, but they cannot move the trunk, anchored in the silent earth of a mind that has found its own unmovable ground. And so, we learn that the most profound strength is not found in defiance or in seeking validation, but in cultivating a profound inner stillness. We learn to see both praise and blame as weather passing through the landscape of our character, not to be ignored, but not to be allowed to shape the bedrock beneath. The unfazed man is not unmoved by the world, but he is unmoved in his core purpose. He has turned his life into a silent dojo, where every interaction, every piece of feedback, becomes practice in the art of non-attachment. I leave you with this question to reflect upon. In your own life, what is one arena, your work, a relationship, a creative pursuit, where you are still allowing the opinions of others to hold the reins? Where can you, starting today, practice the discipline of indifference, not by ceasing to care about excellence, but by caring more for your own sovereign judgment? If this path of the unfazed mind resonates with you, I invite you to share your reflection in the comments below. Your insights contribute to the wisdom of this community. If you found value in these teachings, consider subscribing. More explorations into the timeless principles of discipline, focus, and inner strength await. Thank you truly for your time and your attention. Until next time, walk your path with a calm heart.